All right, I just hit record.
Wait a second. Let me grab coffee. Morning, Jenna. How's it going?
Good morning. How are you? Happy Friday.
Good. You too.
I'm excited because we have a really fun episode today. We have Brett Farmolo on, who is the founder of Featured and the CEO of HARO, which for anyone in our industry, it's a known entity. You've probably grown up with it. I have. So we're really excited to have this conversation today. Brett, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I think our audience will be particularly interested because you basically exist to make our job easier. When HARO came out, which by the way, help a reporter out, which basically is lead generation for comms professionals and a lot of reputable outlets that show up there. I would love to understand how you got into it. There's an interesting evolution from agency founder to building Featured, which you'll also talk to us about, leading the return of HARO. What originally pulled you into this line of entrepreneurship and comms, and how did that journey unfold?
So I'll try to make it short because the dots all connect, I promise. But started out off my career as a corporate auditor and was auditing financial statements and determined that that wasn't maybe the best fit for me. So I hopped in an RV with three buddies and traveled around the country interviewing people about their career paths and documenting those stories on a career education website that we founded. So that actually turned out to be one big PR stunt. We were every city we would roll into, we'd have, TV stations, radio spots set up. We would do interviews and promote this tour that we were on. That kind of got me into marketing. Started my own agency after a couple years and ran that for 10 years. And that was kind of a mistake. I got the website to rank on page one for the term digital marketing company and then started a digital marketing company. We had probably about 500 small business clients that we serviced. We ended up selling that at the end of 2021 and then started to jump in full time to focus on featured.com. And then we acquired HARO in April of 2025, brought it back. It was discontinued and we reached out to the owner and said, hey, we would love to reactivate it. And we ended up acquiring those assets and bringing it back. And it's been pretty fun. The backstory real quick with HARO, it was founded in 2008 and it was acquired in 2010, ran for 14 years, and then it was essentially announced that it would be rebranded and also the product would be going into a platform. So it was rebranded to Connectively, and then Connectively was discontinued after that. So then it kind of left a gap in the market, and we recognized that and said, hey, this actually leaves a huge gap in PR workflows. We need to fill it.
You've founded Featured, and as the founder of Featured, you obviously were seeing kind of the demise of HARO. You were watching what we were watching in the industry, which was, it was this awesome platform. Everyone loved it. Everyone used it. And then it was just completely changed and then basically went downhill. What were your thoughts as you were watching that, and what made you say, like, I need to snap that up and get it back up and running because there's value there?
Yeah, I think that the problem that HARO faced was quality and trust. Like at the end of the day, it was about quality of the queries that were coming through, and then it was about the quality and trust that was happening on the source side, which as AI was adopted, there was no filters to prevent spam happening on the platform. And so really, I think that it came down to a decision of, do we want to invest in this platform to maintain quality and trust? And I think that the decision was, well, let's try to put it in a platform to see if that solves it. Oh, wait a second. How much revenue is this making? Okay, like let's just discontinue it. And that's when we stepped in to say, hey, like, we actually think that, why is this a brand worth reviving? Well, it's because HARO as a brand, like, if you're in public relations, if you're in journalism, you know HARO, and you might pronounce it Haro or Haro, but I think that that's been one of the most fun things about bringing it back, is just how many people have nostalgic stories of how HARO helped them out in a tough spot. They had a client that needed a placement. There was a journalist that needed a source last minute, and HARO's always been that thing that you could turn back to.
Yeah. It's not just about getting the placement either. It's a great relationship builder, right? Like as on the PR side of the house, we're always trying to find the right media. And when you see these come through and you respond to them, then it opens the door to that relationship and that longer term, like, oh, okay, we can work together. And I have these other clients that might be able to answer the questions for you too. So it helps from a PR side of the house in so many different ways, which I think is really nice. Can you talk a little bit about featured? Because we skipped over that, and I want to better understand the featured platform so that we can see how does it all fit together for you?
Yeah. So to understand featured, I should actually introduce Connectively. Well, welcome back to the stage, Connectively.
Once dead, back alive.
So we ran featured as a platform, and essentially HARO in a platform, if you could imagine that. And it's essentially centralizing all of these different queries into one platform and allowing you to filter, search, and respond to stuff that's relevant. Because not email 3 times a day, email isn't for everyone. So we ran featured as a platform, and we grew it to 100,000 users, about 2,500 publishers, and we were connecting an expert source with the publisher every 6 seconds. And the problem was that there still wasn't enough opportunities on the platform. And so what we decided to do was take Connectively, which we had acquired alongside HARO, lift up featured in that whole experience, put it into Connectively, and because there's a lot of people who rely on that experience, and we didn't want to disrupt anything other than the name, the logo, and the URL. So did that. And now what we're about to relaunch with featured is the Copilot for PR. And so essentially it'll be aggregating media opportunities beyond journalist requests. It'll include byline articles, podcasts, journalists that you could pitch, speaking opportunities, award submissions, and a lot more different opportunities that will aggregate into one interface, and then have workflows that power that so that you never miss a media opportunity. So we're really excited for that launch, and we'll have 3 brands that will be owning and operating.
Could this be the PR one-stop shop? Meaning, we have subscriptions to X, Y, and Z, the database. Now here's the query, engine, even speaking engagements. I mean, if you could throw awards in there, we'd really appreciate it. But honestly, could this replace all your subscriptions in an ideal world? Is that the goal?
Here's my favorite job as a founder. It's to speak with 20 to 30 customers every single week. And that's what I spend the majority of my time doing. And a lot of the conversations start with, what do you subscribe to? And they're like, oh, okay, let me take a breath. And, PR folks are subscribed to so many different things right now. They have a journalist database. They have multiple journalist requests platforms that they're subscribed to. How many Substacks are you subscribed to? How many, are you subscribed to a podcast pitching database? Do you have an awards database as well that you're subscribed to? And I think that, people are really fatigued. Like, PR wakes up and there's 15 different emails in your inbox of all these different subscriptions that are notifying you of stuff that may or may not be relevant. And so what we've recognized is a problem, a subscription problem, a notification problem within your inbox that's clouding up things. And so what we really intend feature to do is a big time saver. It's a Copilot that's meant to augment a lot of your efforts, so that your subscriptions come into one, and you're able to get notified, via whatever communication method you want, whether that's email, whether that's Slack, whether that's just text message, to be notified when there is an opportunity that you're ready to be to act on.
Now,
It's
the
amazing.
one thing when you and I talked before, and this is kind of going specifically into the platform a little bit, but I know as a PR professional on a variety of the things we subscribe to, there's always the option to reach out in that platform to the media. And I feel like a lot of PR professionals don't love that because you kind of see your email as just getting caught in spam somewhere. Like no one's ever going to read that. And I'm going back, like starting in like Cision and platforms like that. But how does yours work? Because I feel like you mentioned that you can kind of come out of the platform and just email as a human with the
Yeah.
people.
So let me approach it from 2 ways. The first way is maybe like the 2022, 2023 Brett that's running a platform and wants all messages to route through the platform. Because as a platform, you want to have stickiness and you want to have the dependency and things like that. So I get it. Like, platforms want things to route through you, through their system. Enter 2025, Brett, with HARO, and you've got email as the main communication method, and you have never seen more happy, delighted users to be able to take an email address and to send an email and to own the communication. And like PR and communication professionals want to own communications. Simple. So yeah, the new featured, when it's a copilot for PR, will have the option to send an email, and you could do one of two things. You could either integrate your Gmail or Outlook with featured and send the email directly through the platform, which will actually be sent directly through your email address, or you could just copy the email address, you can put it into your own system, and then compose whatever message you want to send and send. And we think that's just a much cleaner way to manage communications. And it's the thing that both journalists and PR have requested.
Can you talk a little bit about, because I'm approaching it from the PR side of the house, right? Emily and I know that, and how valuable this tool can be for us and time saver can be for us. But speak to us a little bit about the other side of the house. Like, what is happening for the journalists? How is this making their lives easier? And not just the HARO portion of it, but the whole thing, right? The whole offering.
Yeah. So if PR is going through subscription fatigue, journalists have been fatigued for many, many years, in a variety of places, specifically the inbox. Every journalist that I speak with talks to me about how AI pitches are making their inbox just an unmanageable place. Most journalists have burner accounts. Like they have, their special email that they actually won't give out to anyone, and that's the email that they could use, and the trusted sources get the good email, and then everyone else gets the other email. So AI has made it really horrible for journalists in their inbox. And at the same time, AI has so much potential to make their inbox better. And what I mean by that, AI's real potential is in matching. It's about surfacing the relevant opportunity and the right journalist to pitch the right thing. And what's actually happening in practice, and where tools and platforms are making it worse, is essentially generating the pitch and then auto following up with the journalist and trying to like get them to respond in any way. And it just creates a lot of noise. And so there's practitioners who are using it in a really smart way, which is around using AI to deploy on the time-intensive tasks like monitoring and doing research. And then there's the people who are using it to save time in terms of just pitching. And that's not the best use case. And the better use case, I think, is the time saving on the research and monitoring side.
I think it also leads to the relationship between comms professionals and journalists, Brett, just in terms of this sacred pairing that back when we started in the early 2000s, it was face to face, it was lunches, it was events, it was desk sides. But now with decimated newsrooms, titles that don't even exist anymore, how do you foresee the relationship between comms professionals and journalists shaping even in the next 5 years, but also via a platform like Featured?
I think it'll change dramatically, and I don't think it'll change at all. And what I mean by that is, Jenna, you highlighted that HARO is a great relationship builder, and it's true. Like I have, quote unquote dog food of the product, and I contribute articles to a few different outlets. So I'll put out a HARO to get connected with sources. And I have some amazing relationships as a journalist that I've established with sources that I've used for multiple different stories. And so like a very simple thing like email still has the ability to develop strong relationships when the timing is right. Emily, you mentioned like, what does relationship building look like in 5 years? What year is it? All right. So 2031. I think that like one of the best things that's happened in 2026, or most interesting things, is the rise of agents. And if you look at the problem that agents typically solve, it's like all the stuff that takes up a lot of time that you could probably automate and probably, outsource or whatever. If we're talking about problems and the journalist inbox is the problem, what's a great way to solve that? Like every journalist should probably have an inbox agent that's essentially surfacing different pitches and saying, okay, we know what you're working on. We know what your next few stories are. monitor my inbox and then let me know who I should actually connect with. And then also like politely decline the folks that aren't a good fit. The people who are spamming, politely say stop. Like, so I think that in 5 years, it's going to be a lot of agentic communication that now allows that relationship to actually get into an environment without all the hassle. And when I think about that, the best part of a relationship building is when you're together, like when you're in a conversation, when you're being interviewed, when you're doing all of that. What's the worst part of that? Scheduling, seeing who I should actually build a relationship with. So I think in 5 years, you're going to see a lot, like every journalist will probably have an agent. Every PR professional will probably have some sort of agent, and the agents will be talking to each other to ultimately get something on the calendar of a good conversation so you can make great content.
So on that topic of agents, so this, and I'm riffing for a second, and this is what Jenna and I were talking about this morning. We are pitching a very reputable business focused outlet, and they have a new, I'm going to call it a service. Maybe it is an agent that is it to paraphrase, it's like a pay for play, Brett. Like there is onus on likely the client budget where they will take the story, say, yes, this holds weight with this particular editor. And it's almost a gatekeeping situation. It was the first time I've ever noticed something like this, especially for such a reputable outlet. But I also think, to your point about just crazy inboxes and how that just escapes journalists these days, it might be really smart, and it might be just a smart way to monetize. Are you aware of this type of behavior with these outlets, and does featured play into that space as well? It feels like it does to a certain extent, but really I think it's the comms professionals, well, I guess on both sides of the coin, that are paying into this luxury of cutting through a lot of clutter when it comes to
Yeah.
feature.
That's really an interesting use case. I think that it's smart, not maybe for the monetization reasons, but more so to facilitate the objective of more high quality content. So if it's a routing problem, like the pitch is just going to the wrong person, it's smart to put an agent in there to figure out where that pitch should actually go and if it has legs. So I
Yeah.
really like that use case, because
Yeah.
now it now speeds up the content creation process and allows more people to contribute. So I like that. One of the things that we are focused on with Featured is purpose-built agents that help with submission workflows. So if you look at a problem like byline articles, for example, and you want to contribute content, the submission workflows range across, publication. It's like,
Yeah.
well, should I email an editor with a pitch, or should I email an editor with a full-length article? If a full-length article, what's the requirements? What's the word submission count? Like, what does it have to be like? What are there's so many different nuances. And so if you think about how agents can speed up that flow, a lot of what the question that you need to answer as a PR professional is, how do I submit? Like, how do I, get it in the right place? So, that's one thing that Featured is actively working on, is making sure that it's not only easy to find opportunities, it needs to be really easy to submit opportunities as well.
And it's not right now. I feel like the idea of op-eds and byline articles have gotten so much more difficult, to your point exactly, of like, do I submit the full article? Do I submit a pitch? Do I get someone to bite on the pitch first and then write the article? What's the length? How many people can I submit to? Like all of that. So is that something that's coming from Featured in the near term, or is it there now?
Yeah, no, this is coming. Like by the time this podcast episode is out, it'll probably, like, Featured will be out with this. So the reason why it's doesn't exist in the world today is because it's so hard. Like, we've been working on this problem for a while, where if you look at those byline publications, man, you just take one publication and there's like 130 different editors that you could possibly pitch at this one publication we're looking at. And then every one of them have their different submission requirements. And that's like one publication. There's like, tens of thousands of others that we're trying to look at and say, okay, what's the appropriate flow? And how do you keep that flow up to date when that one editor leaves and then that email is no longer, valid? So It's a really hard problem. It's the reason why something like this doesn't exist, but that's also why 2026 is one of the most exciting times ever because you've got technology that's catching up that can help keep this data up to date and then make it so that, our job to be done is much easier.
I feel so validated, Brett. Thank you. Thank you for starting my day with validation.
Question that you just made me think of. So something that we've talked about a lot, and we have another guest coming on soon, is the idea of kind of advertorial and paid content. You see a lot of publications, they've all obviously they have a price tag for certain pieces of content. To date, HARO has really been about earned, right? And just the relationship building. With the, new version of Featured and Connectively, will paid come into that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that featured is designed for every use case of what a media opportunity is. And so if branded content is one thing that people are interested in, we will cover it. So what does that mean? It means that we've got to be able to get that data and put it into our system and make it usable. And so that when someone says, "Hey, I'm interested in branded content within AI for PR, what do you got for me?" It's like, okay, here's the different publications and the submission requirements and what it costs, and then route you to the right place.
Anything with influencers on deck.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're tackling LinkedIn influencers first. So that'll be included in the product, and I think that'll go really well. And then, yeah, it's on the to-do list for, the rest of the social platforms.
Anything we didn't ask you about Featured or Connectively or HARO?
I don't know. It's pretty crazy what we're doing, honestly. Like you're catching me right in the middle of this transition where literally just a couple days ago we announced Connectively's back, and it's gone surprisingly well. We're announcing that Featured is coming out with this chat interface and essentially being, that co-pilot for PR. And so I think that not to be too promotional, I just think it's an interesting time for PR practitioners. And if I were running like a PR agency today, from what I hear, a lot of them are taking inventory on what are the tools that are driving the best results and what do we not need and how do we consolidate and then how does Claude factor into all this? And I think that's probably the interesting direction as well, is that we're designing and we're launching Featured not so that you go to featured.com, but more so to fit within your own workflows. And what I mean by that is most PR practitioners are going to show up, they're going to go to Claude, they're going to say, find me podcasts or find me byline articles about this. Here's my client. You already know everything that there is to know about my client. Just like help me out. And we envision a future where Claude will call Featured's MCP server. It'll filter out, what the opportunities are within Featured, and then you'll be able to execute that within Claude as well. So I think that like the future's bright for PR. Like the demand for PR services is, I think it's just going to rise dramatically in the next couple of years, because it's easier than ever to launch products, and it's harder than ever to get customers. It's hard to get visibility for those products. So I think it's a great time to enter into PR, to be in PR. And we're excited to support it.
That is awesome, Brett. Appreciate the support too. We are very excited about Featured, so we'll keep an eye out on all the good news to come. Congrats on Connectively too and the relaunch there.
We always ask this at the end of the episode, and I think you've kind of talked about your impact, but what would you say your impact has been in the last week or so?
Well, I think we've tried to simplify PR. I think that that's probably the biggest impact. And then, the larger impact that even goes back to the RV trip that we talked about is that, everyone needs a meaningful outlet to share their experience and their expertise. And that's what we're really after, to democratize access, to be able to share knowledge and share it in a meaningful way. So I think that that's what we all do as PR professionals sometimes, like on a good day, is is allow people to share their message, and it's good to be able to bring that to so many people.
I would just say the founder of an agency, idea of simplifying and helping to get these good stories out is one that I am absolutely loving.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.